let's get started. So in today's webinar, we're going to take a look at how you can cut support costs by deploying a self-care portal from one of our partners, Boom. They've done an outstanding job in combining a lot of elements that I know a lot of you are using. And we're very excited to take a look in a bit more detail what Devrin and Martin have been working on at Boom. And so very much welcome, Devrin. If you could just very briefly introduce yourself, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Thank you, Klaus. I am Devrin Jakalı, CTO of Boom and the solution architect. Boom has been working with Porta for nearly a decade. We deployed our first Porta installation when it was MR16, so we've been working for a while with Porta, so we're very familiar with how it works, what the strengths are. And we utilize Porta's APIs and database to bring in a layer on top of Porta to provide web interfaces, some additional features. But the core strength is PortaOne soft switch, and what we are doing is adding easier functionality and features. We only provide services to other telecom operators, so we don't sell direct. And that's why PortaOne's Add-On Mart works perfectly with us, for us, because that's only for telecom operators, just like the rest of our partners.
Great. Thanks for the quick intro, Devrin. So I think we've been trying to sort of work through a bit with the sharing the screen. Devrin, there you go. I can move forward to the agenda. So just taking a quick look here at what we're going to be talking about today. Now, some of you might have this question, well, why are we having this session? So obviously PortaOne has its own Cloud PBX portal. From the sort of the webinar announcement and what we just talked about, it seems like what Boom has been working on with their ActiveSwitch is quite similar. So yes, that is actually the case. There is obviously some overlap here, but we at PortaOne also realized that oftentimes Cloud PBX portal may not work for all organizations. We truly believe in the freedom of choice and giving our customers, a lot of different options to make sure it really works for all of the organizations. And then on top of that, there are certain things that obviously Boom has done and in their platform and their portal that we don't have available, and we may not have on our strategic roadmap. So from that perspective, we feel it's a worthwhile option, and we only make the pie bigger, but we're not taking away each other's business. So that's why we're having this session here. And we're quite keen. I know Boom is very good at working closely with partners in the UK and throughout Europe. So I know they have a lot of sort of real world experience. So from that perspective, I do appreciate their insights and their expertise in bringing their portal now to other PortaOne customers that might be interested in. So with that in mind, I'd love to pass the mic to you, Devrin, and let's take a look at what PortaOne CSPs can leverage with your platform.
Sounds good. So we normally do a live demo. This is the first time. We'll go through screenshots and videos, but if any of you are interested to dive deeper into the solution, feel free to reach out to Klaus and we'll set up a live demo, and then we'll focus on your questions, your requirements. We'll start with the user dashboard. So if you're an end user utilizing the platform, so one of your customers or a reseller or the platform owner, you log into the same interface. This is the user dashboard that you log into, and you're greeted with a couple of elements in here. Your Status is on the top left corner, and you can sign in, sign out of hunt groups. You can give a reason why you're signing out. You have some statistical information which you can edit. We'll look into this in more detail. You have your on-call history, access to your voicemails and group voicemails. Now on the right-hand side, you have access to your team. And you'll notice that in team, there are different busy statuses. So in the past, the busy status was the red, amber, green that showed if you are on a phone or not. Now, customers, users, they utilize lots of other tools like Slack or Microsoft Teams and other meeting platforms. So bringing all that presence into one location so that you know what your team members are doing, if they're available, take a call, is quite key. On the top right corner, we have contacts and a dial pad. And the contacts is your phone book, business phone book that you can synchronize to your IP handsets. And your dial pad is a way of controlling your IP phones or making calls straight on the dashboard here. And we'll go into more details in these areas. So in the UI scales, depending on how you want to work with it. And from full screen to the mobile view, the docked view to this small view at the bottom right corner. The mobile view also renders exactly like this on your mobile phone. So if your customers are utilizing the service, they'll be able to use the mobile view. The navigation collapses, and this allows us to render some of these interfaces in different software. And a good example of that is Microsoft Teams. So we have a Microsoft Teams integration in the tabs on the left-hand side. Your application can run, which loads the dashboard as we have seen in the first slide, but without a navigation here. And it utilizes the micro view that runs on your machine to receive and make phone calls. There are a couple of different ways we integrate into Microsoft Teams. So one of them is the direct dial option, where the end user requires a license from Microsoft Teams, and that can go through a portal to make phone calls. There is several solutions, I believe, in Add-On Mart that provides this. We have as well. And for that, if you utilize that, the moment you click on the dial pad or click on one of the team members to make your outbound phone call, it will trigger Microsoft Teams dialer. However, we have an alternative solution called Teams OTT. With Teams OTT application, the web browser application runs as a PWA. PWA is like a standalone application, but it's still a web application that runs on your desktop. And what Teams interface does, it remote controls the PWA. So you don't need to use any of the buttons that are available on the web browser. Instead, in Microsoft Teams, you can answer calls, and it will instruct, like remote control, your PWA to answer the call. You can put the calls on hold, you can transfer the calls. All the interaction between the end user and the soft client is done through Microsoft Teams. But the calls are handled in the background by the PWA. You might have heard.
So Devrin,
Yes.
it just, sorry to interrupt. So Devrin, this would be useful to those organizations, if I understand correctly, that do not have the fairly pricey Microsoft phone licenses, correct? So just to make that clear, what Devrin was saying, we obviously do have solutions in Add-On Mart already that do Teams integration, but all of those require Microsoft phone licenses. So for those SIP trunk and seed licenses, you will need the required, or the organizations would need the Microsoft phone licenses. But with your solution here with OTT, a standard Teams seed will be perfectly fine that doesn't have the phone license. Correct?
That's correct. Yes, Klaus. Now, you might have heard Microsoft recently blocked a lot of suppliers from doing something like this. What they have done is those suppliers would utilize the push notification in Microsoft Teams to accept the incoming call, which Microsoft didn't appreciate. They didn't want their push notifications to be utilized to bypass their phone system. We are not doing that. All we are doing is the interface within Teams is remote controlling your soft client. So the interaction is in Microsoft Teams, but actually the voice, everything runs on that minimized application in your on your desktop. Now, call history is a basic interface normally for customers to go through the company's call history. Now, because we have access levels finely tuned on the platform, depending on your access levels, you have access to your own call history or your department's call history or the whole business's call history. And you can see in here, statistical information is shown for my user because I have analytics license. And on the right-hand side, there are many filtering options. Again, most of those filtering options come with the analytics license. The reason or the benefit of the analytic license in here is we take a copy of the calls and the call recordings and store them either on S3 buckets and databases designed for yourselves on our AWS, or we can link it to your AWS account so it stores it in your databases and on S3 for the lifetime that the customer wants. So without the analytical license, we get the information directly from your PortaOne system, which means it's limited to 60 days or 90 days, depending on how long you store CDRs within the PortaOne databases. But with the analytical add-on, we extract this information. We add more data to those. As an example, we put in call summaries, we put call insight information, if it's a positive call, negative call, if it's transcribed, all that kind of information we store in addition to the raw CDRs. And that is for the lifetime of the customer's license and their preference. For some industries, they may need to keep it for 6 years. For some, they may have to delete it within 6 months. But those can be
And Devin, just to make that clear, that's not your S3 Amazon buckets, but those are the telcos, the CSPs S3 account, right? Where that data stored.
Right. We have a small number of smaller telecom operators that don't want to manage an AWS account, so we help them set these up. But if you already have one, we'll link it into there. We'll ask for the bucket details. We'll link it to yours. Now, if you click on one of these calls on the call history, this is the view that we get. In PortaOne, you'll know that every leg of the call has its own CDR. What we do here is we merge the relevant legs of a call. In this example, Emily calls into the main DID, which gets answered by Burton. Burton does an attended transfer to Eva, and then Eva talks to Emily. Each leg is presented here. You can listen to each leg. Recording, can download those recording. Again, if this customer only has access to PortaOne recordings, it will download it from PortaOne servers. If they have the analytics, it will download it from S3. In this scenario, they have an analytics license, so there's transcriptions available, there's conversational AI where you can discuss the call in detail. Now, I have seen we all have very creative end user customers where calls can be passed on from IVRs to hunt groups to other hunt groups, then to back to a receptionist. Troubleshooting those calls are quite difficult when the legs are all broken apart. But when it's displayed in here, 11, 12 of these legs, it's nice and easy to understand what's happening. And depending on the user's ACL, they'll have access to the correct recordings and not all the recordings of the call. In here, of course, I can call back Emily or I can block the call. So we have touched on analytics a bit with the call history, the diagram on the top, the storage of data. But what we are doing is we don't have a specific analytics page, but analytics is on many of the interfaces. In here, in the dashboard, there are tiles. You can edit those tiles. We have a wallboard. In wallboard, again, you can add your own tiles, remove tiles. In this example, in the video, we are putting a new tile for people in the queue, the specific queue. So we are putting on the top right corner, and there's a bit of space on the bottom right. So we are adding additional metrics into there. As you can see, there are many metrics to choose from. So every customer has slightly different needs, and required metrics are in here. Those metrics will have additional options. You can get a dimension for the whole business or specific hunt group, specific department, specific queue, and then drill down further to have exactly the information you want to display on the screen. So you could create different wallboards per department.
Devin, in your experience working with your clients that you have, what's the sort of the typical organizations that you find benefit most from your platform? So in terms of, is it SMBs? Do you find a lot of enterprises picking it up? Do you find it replaces for them dedicated call center solutions? What's your view on this, since we're looking at the wallboard here?
Yeah. We have partners that focus on different tiers of customers. We have our record customer seat, I think, is over 5,000 for a single customer. But we pride ourselves in bringing these enterprise solutions to SMEs with the price point. We want SMEs to have enterprise level wallboards, analytical tools, reports, live data on the screen. And so both end works. It is not a dedicated call center solution, but an entry-level call center for big organizations, but really advanced call center solution for smaller businesses.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the wallboard can be put full screen, cast on a TV, and it will update in real time. So if there are any people waiting in the queue on the support second line, those user details will be listed in here. If there are any VIP users waiting in the queue, they'll be highlighted. In here, we also have a tile that's 2x2, where the team members of the development team is putting their presences there so that everybody can see on the wallboard. Are they on a call? Are they offline? Do they sign out? And as I said, these tiles can be modified, moved around, and customized depending on what the customer needs. And the beauty is the customer, of course, can make all of these changes. So in here, in the call history, we looked at the charts, and you can load the CDRs quite quickly, going back in time, depending on how long they stored the recordings for. Meetings will have its own statistical information. When you drill down into those meetings, you'll see who has been on the camera the longest, who has muted themselves the longest. That kind of information is stored in here as well. We'll go through some of these pages in a bit, but another example would be the call summaries. These are the summaries that you can define and then assign to calls. It will then store statistical information for those calls. And every page, you'll notice that will have on the landing page statistical information. If there are any users waiting in the queue, if there is what's the wait time, average wait time of queues. That kind of information is scattered across all the interfaces. And that's, I think, one of the strengths of the platform. Instead of loading a separate software that shows analytical data, in here, as you are working within the platform, you might be the business admin and troubleshooting IVR or configuring IVR and noticing that there's lots of calls dropping out on the IVR because you have access to the stats in the same place where you configure it is quite powerful. And this is the agent's landing page. So this is my account. I'm looking at my own, but I can look at either all the accounts if my ACL allows it, or only the members of my department if I'm the supervisor of that department. And I see some statistical information. And as you can see, I don't make or receive many phone calls because now we don't just use IP phones to make calls. We use Teams, Zoom, Slack to communicate at the same time. Bringing all that presence into the one platform is quite key. My day so far, you can see my busy hours. So if you're looking at one of your staff members, trying to figure out when that person is free the most, you can analyze it through here. I have been removed from a couple of queues, from a couple of hunt groups, and when I was removed from this hunt group, there was nobody signed into the hunt group. If this was not a test hunt group, it means at that time no calls would have rang any of the devices. Again, information like this is quite key, especially when you're troubleshooting. And it's not just troubleshooting as a business admin, but as a supervisor, trying to understand what's happening with your call center is key. And there are many other tabs in the agent interface that gives more information of what I'm doing, focused on me. So I had a meeting during that period that's defined on top right-hand side. What I've done during this timeline, my licenses, if I'm signed into hunt groups, if I'm signed out, what's the reason I'm signed out.
Devon, do you find what is sort of the training effort? So if I'm a telco and I'm curious about onboarding your platform to make it available to my SMEs, SMBs that I serve, and obviously the goal being to cut my support costs of my SMBs reaching out to our support. Hey, how do I do this? Can you please update the name on this extension? And things like that. Do you find the training to be quite extensive that you'd have to do for the SMBs? And then are they really sort of able to do most of these things themselves? What's your take on that?
From experience, we have noticed that a blank canvas is always challenging for any business to start modifying, adding things.
Right.
So, but it's quite easy for most customers to modify things themselves. So if the basic hunt group, IVR, the incoming DID, if they are configured, because the interfaces are so intuitive, customers start changing things, assign people in and out. Is the first thing that they do. And then they might increase the ring time, and then they might change other things. You'll notice in the interfaces, in the screenshots, every tab, every page has a question mark next to it. This question mark can be hidden if you know the platform inside out, but if not, by default, it's enabled. And if you click on that question mark, it opens the knowledge base article on how to manage that interface, and it's quite good. We are also testing an AI agent that helps with configurations.
Okay.
So not only it will tell how to do it, so how to create a contact. It will also suggest to create the contact for you. So we are,
I see.
although there's a lot of help articles, it's quite intuitive. We want to take this to the next level.
Okay, thank you.
WebTrit integration. So WebTrit is in Add-On Mart. It's the WebArtist is soft client, and if you have that license, you can enable it within this interface, so that you can make phone calls directly, make and receive phone calls directly within the web portal. And in this scenario, I am dialing instead of using my keyboard. I chose to use my mouse on the dial pad. I press dial. It's changed my interface, so now I have this active call interface in front of me. I can mute the call. I can start recording, pause the call. But on the right-hand side, it gave me some transfer call options. It knows that this person has talked to Eve AI and Martin most recently. So I can, if the caller doesn't remember who they have talked to, I can say, oh, do you want me to transfer the call to Eve? You were talking to her last, or Martin. I can also transfer calls in that interface to hunt groups, to IVRs, and in the hunt groups, I can see how many people are available to take the call. So is everybody on call? Are they all signed out? All that information is available within the current call tab. And I can, of course, transfer calls to my team members using the team tab. In the active calls section, I can leave call summaries, notes. So when the call is transferred, the next person can pick up and read the notes, or it's notes for the future. And all of that is happening within the platform without you requiring to have an IP phone or another soft phone. Now, if the customer prefers an IP phone, that's fine. The active calls interface still pops up when a call is active on any of your devices. You can still leave notes, and you have access to the transfer options on the right-hand side. So you can remote control using PortaOne to get your IP phone to answer calls, start recording, etc. But then you require, of course, an IP phone to manage those. The WebTrit integration is quite popular because this also solves the hot desking issue that most customers have now after COVID.
And just to make it clear to everyone attending, WebTrit is technically the same. It's the same product as Porta. We sell it as PortaPhone, but some that do not have PortaSwitch as their soft switch, they know the soft phone platform as WebTrit.
That's a big benefit because it's a solution that PortaOne uses on the platform. Because we have used other WebRTC platforms in the past. You need to make sure that it updates, works with all your Porta versions that you upgrade into. And it can be a challenge to keep those in sync. With WebTrit, we know that it will always work. I mentioned AI a couple of times in this call. One of our AI products is the Call Insight product. So Call Insight goes, if the customer wants this, the end user wants this service, they can just add this per user onto their platform, and their calls will get transcribed and then goes through a couple of AI solutions, and it will check things like profanity, PCI breaches, so it does recognize credit card information being said instead of that call recording being paused. It will highlight those, it will block access to those call recordings. It will also check sentiment of the call to see if it's positive, negative, neutral. And again, diagrams understanding if in here, for example, profanity is being highlighted, if the profanity is increasing or not. The profanity uses a dictionary that we have gathered and uploaded into the platform. It can be customized per platform.
And Devin, do I need to bring my own API key for AI solutions, or is it built into your platform?
It
So
is
does it
built
use
in.
sort of OpenAI, or it is built in? Okay.
It is built in. We have an agnostic way of working with AI solutions because it changes so fast. And instead of relying on a single supplier, the strengths and weaknesses of all these platforms are quite different, and it constantly changes. So we have created an architecture that plugs into around 9 different LLMs, including our self-hosted one, different text-to-speech engines, speech-to-text engines. This way, we can control the feature set and the cost because it constantly changes. One of the call insight features is the word tracking. So you don't, in here, I've highlighted phishing because it's an easier one to demonstrate the transcription of, because discussion on phishing is not private. But you can add any word at any point, and it will go back in time and scan through all your transcriptions. So it doesn't matter if you're adding words later on, it will do the scanning through all of your call recordings. And in here, there were 13, the words were spotted 13 times on 4 calls, and 2 of those calls were positive calls. I click on that to see what they had been talking about, or why phishing was part of the conversation. That loads up the previously shown call details page. This time we are on the transcription tab. It will highlight the word that you had put in for filtering. On the top here, you can see all the words that are in the list of the word matches. You can click on those to go through the transcription to find the correct word. And you'll see these small play icons. Pressing those play icons will start the recording from that point onward. So you can just listen to it and understand the conversation. You'll notice that there are export buttons in lots of locations. You can export all this information. And the last page in Call Insight is the agent CEO. This breaks down the statistics per users. So in here, we can see Emma, the AI agent, has only 22 transcribed calls, 7 of them were positive, no negative, that's a good thing, and 15 neutral. So this will also allow the supervisor to go in and listen to specific calls instead of having to go through and listen to all call recordings that he's or she's supervising. This can help them highlight possibly problematic calls and listen to those. The stats, of course, are from the current period that is set, so you can go back in time 2 years and then check the stats at that time compared to now. Now, there is a lot of data in here, and most of it is, of course, private. And so we have deployed the ACL system in place, which allows the data controller of the business to define who has what kind of access. And this is not just for their team, but they can also define what the reseller can do. If this customer is a fully managed customer, they want the reseller to be able to download call recordings and then email those over to the customer. Like the customer can give access to the reseller to listen to call recordings. But if they don't want the reseller to have access to this kind of information, they can limit it. Same with the rest of the team. So they can say that specific users only have access to their own call recordings, only have access to their own call history, and others might have access to the call history of the department. In here, you can also define if you're the business admin. So the business admin can do telephonic configuration changes. And if it's the right type of customer, they can also have access to reseller admin and site admin. So if this customer is a reseller at the same time, then they'll have the option to manage their sub-customers. And they don't have to give that privilege to all their staff members. Just because the customer is a reseller doesn't mean all the team members of that business are capable to manage their customers. So again, in here, you can set which users have reseller access. And same with site admin. This is your access, your team. Some of them might be able to manage the resellers, but some might use the platform only to make and receive calls. The business admin is a staff member within one of your customers. They manage their own platform, so they can create things like time filters. Is one of the examples. So we utilize Porta's time filters, but one thing that we do slightly different. The time filters that are configured here will be can be utilized in any part of PortaOne solution, from your forward settings to IVR settings to other interfaces. Which means if your working hours change, we change a time filter within PortaOne platform, but then we find all the configurations that utilize this time filter and change those settings at the same time. Which means the business admin doesn't have to go one by one to each configuration and change 5 p.m. end time to 5:30 p.m. end time. Same with blocking. Again, we use PortaOne solution to block the call processing rules. But in here, it's integrated in the call history or in business settings. It's easy to just add a number or press a button to block the number. So all the features that we are familiar with in PortaOne, which is an engineering platform mostly, is now available for the end user to be able to do easily. These interfaces that I'm showing is fully brandable. It's not just to you, but to your resellers. And for larger enterprise customers, like Coca-Cola, they might want it to be branded to them. So it can be branded all the way down to the customer level. And this is one of our demo customers. The rest of the interfaces I'll try to show you through him, because then there is no private data here. Site has a small branding change. The logo is different. The background image is different. And as the business admin here, I am configuring the DID, one of the numbers. And in here, I can set the forward destinations. I can see the calls that has gone through the DID, and I can label this DID so that it's easy to find. And on the first page, like in the landing page, I have statistical information and a bit of information on what this number does. So I can see the forward settings on the right-hand side quite easily. So depending on my ACL, because I'm business admin, I can see the forwarding destinations. So I can configure those. But if I was just a regular user, I might have statistical information only. So the tabs are visible only to those that have access to. Same with the knowledge base articles. So the question marks that you see on the tabs, if I click on one of those, depending on my access level, I'm informed how to configure things. So if I'm the reseller, I have reseller access, then it might give me tips on troubleshooting some elements. If I am just a business admin, it will show me how to configure it. I won't go through all configurations, but I'll go through some examples. So call queues is another one in here. So list of call queues. This customer is only one call queue. I click on it. I had some statistical information on the first page, but here there's more. I can sign users in and out in this interface. I don't see statistical information for those individual users because I'm not their supervisor. But as the business admin, I can add, remove users into the hunt group that's linked to the queue. So I don't have to go to the hunt group interface. I can do everything within this interface here. And after my configuration is done, I can look at what IVRs point to this queue and click on the IVR, which will take me to the IVR interface. So any place where you see elements of the solution, you can click on it, and it will take you to the correct configuration page. In here, I know that these DIDs point to the IVRs, and I'm doing the IVR configuration in here. What button does what? It's quite straightforward again. But let's say I want to configure the DID that's pointing to this IVR. I just click on the DID. So it's very easy to jump from one element to another element, just following the call flow.
Devin, let's make sure we do have a bit of time for in case some questions come up. Maybe I just want to encourage folks. So if you do have questions, feel free. You can already ask them. You can ask them throughout, and we'll be able to answer them. So far, I don't see any questions yet, Devin. Just to give you a heads up, but in case some pop up, I'll give you a heads up here.
Perfect.
We do want to try to keep the session to about an hour, so I think we have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah. I'm almost towards the end of this. Group voicemail is another element that uses PortaOne's voicemail accounts, but the difference here is by giving access to group voicemails per user, those users will have access to group voicemails, which means if somebody listens to that voicemail, it will be marked as listened to, but I can see who listened and who actioned it. So what I'm trying to explain is we're always using PortaOne's features, but creating interfaces where these can be used slightly differently and managed easier by the end user. And hardware management is, again, one of the elements that can be done here. Because this user has reseller access, he can see multiple customers' hardware. So he's just looking for his own customer. He sees a hardware that is not assigned to an account, selects an account from within the business, forgets to select the port for that. So puts the port in, save changes, which now gives this user access to the phone, an IP phone, which they can configure. So if they go into their own settings, devices, they can configure the DSS keys. And we try to mimic the interfaces of the phone on this UI so that it's familiar for them. So they can set BLFs or CLI change buttons so they can change their CLI where they're making outbound calls. And finally, the reseller admin. So everything you have seen that can be managed by the customer can be managed by the reseller. So the main difference is there's same with site admin. Site admin will have access to a list of resellers. The reseller has access to a list of sub-customers. They select a customer. It's on the right-hand side. It warns them. It says there's no DID configured for this customer, so you need to point at DID. There's a hardware that's not assigned to any account. You need to assign that. This way, human errors are eliminated. But the interface that we have seen for the customer admin, you can see now, can be done by the reseller. There's one interface for the end users to log in, the resellers or the site admins, and they can manage all PortaOne solution within this interface. This is, as you can imagine, just the peak of the iceberg. There's a lot more going on, and if you have specific questions, you want a demo, reach out to Klaus, and we can do a live session diving deep in some areas. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Devin. So there is a special offer here that you can use. So you have a promo code that gives you 5% off for the first year of the subscription. So all you have to do is basically, if you reach out to Devin or ourselves at PortaOne, just mention that you participated in a webinar, and we'll make sure to apply that. So let's see. We didn't get any questions yet. So Devin, it might have been just that it was fairly clear overall, but we'll leave it out. We'll leave it on the floor here for a minute to see if some questions might trickle in. Of course, if you're watching the recording and you forward the recording to some of your colleagues, they may have questions. Make sure to reach out to sales at PortaOne, or we can put you in touch with Devin and his team directly. And like Devin said, they're always able to organize a session, an interactive session, a call with you to get your answers to get your questions answered. Very much appreciate. I don't see any questions here popping up. So if you do think of any later, make sure to forward those to us, and we'll look after you. Devin, any parting comments that you'd like to make sure we mention and touch on?
No, thank you everyone for coming to this session. I know it's a long one. There's a lot of information shared. And hopefully we'll get to speak face to face at one point.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Devin. And thanks so much for attending. And we'll make sure to have the recording of our session today prepared and most likely published sometime next week. So thanks so much for taking your time, and thanks so much for attending.